Welcome to the channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you're not. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different, and actually something I didn't plan until a couple months ago when I just started watching Wednesday on DVD after I bought it from Walmart, but something that's been on my mind for the last couple years ever since the first season of Wednesday debuted. I want to talk about how and why Wednesday Addams did in fact fall for Tyler Galpin in season 1, regardless of how people on the internet would like what you feel with feelings of, oh, Wednesday doesn't need to be in a love triangle. Wednesday doesn't need romance. She didn't care about either guy. Blah, 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 blah. Because I watched the show for myself, and I was literally just sitting there going, wait, did we watch the same show? She at least likes Tyler. She doesn't care about Xavier. I'll agree with you on that one. But there's feelings between her and Tyler that didn't come out of nowhere, and I wrote down all the evidence. So let's waste no more time and get started. Okay. Episode 1. Wednesday's child is full of woe. After Wednesday and Tyler first meet and she fixes the espresso machine at the coffee shop, she gives him these looks of surprise at his continued engagement with her despite what she knows are off-putting statements about herself, like being, as he puts it, Grim Reaper Barbie. Makes perfect sense. She stares at him in wide-eyed surprise when he thanks her, then side-eyes him the same look when he introduces himself. Note that this is the first introduction of what will become their theme music throughout the first season. Slow and creeping. Kind of sounds like this. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. I'm sorry, Danny Elfman and Chris Bacon. She pauses, eyes him up for a moment, then tells him her name. And something else you should note is that when Lucas and his friends condescendingly face her, Lucas says, "So tell me, you ever been with a normie?" And she responds with, "I never found one who could handle me." How is that not major setup? Come on. Wednesday doesn't blink often, but she does when Sheriff Galpin asks if Tyler helped her knock out the bullies. At his accusing tone, maybe? Also, she gives a last glance at Tyler before meeting Principal Weems at the door. He is also the first person she's met in Jericho that she already has active interest to call back again. Yes, it's to help her escape, but it means she already has trust in his willingness to do so, compared to most other people, including Enid. Excuse me. Theme appearance number 2 when Tyler says, "I'm in," described in subtitles as slow, suspenseful, and more prominent than before. He assures her no charge, and when Wednesday asks why, he says, "I wish I was coming too, but at least one of us will get out of this hellhole town." Wednesday's look is a bit indiscernible in this scene, but her eyes look down and lift ever so slightly at his words. Then at the harvest fair, Tyler gives her Gomez's police file. She goes quiet, prompting him to ask if she's okay, as she looks at him then back at the file before admitting, "I'm not used to people engaging with me," with a look of honesty in her face. Most people see me coming across the street, this part with some playful obviousness to her tone. He then calls her kooky affectionately, and she corrects with pointed firmness she prefers spooky, which, to be fair, yes, is a bit of a slightly cringe forced attempt to connect to the original TV show, but hey, I thought it was cute. And I would say that this episode is probably the most rom-com-y type, teen drama type setup between Wednesday and Tyler. Oh, the small town boy who dreams of escaping his shitty small town because he's a small town boy. Did we mention he's a small town boy? But then, oh my, who's this cool new girl who just showed up and is shaking things up? Wow, she just made things vastly more interesting. To me, the best comparison would probably be Ethan Waite and Lena Duquesne's from the Cast of Chronicles series, which was adapted into the 2013 film Beautiful Creatures. I don't know if anyone else remembers that movie. And then I realized how apt that actually is, because guess what? They both have questionable historical reenactments! Hey! Alright. Water. Oh, okay. Episode 2. Woe is the loneliest number. Wednesday suddenly meets Tyler outside of Dr. Kimbot's office, pointedly telling him she's legally required to be there. She's not in the best mood given the Rowan situation, but makes a note of him following her to still talk and engage, even glancing back at him without turning her head. He notes her staying in town and connects on needing court-ordered therapy too, which we don't yet know the reason for. He brings up what happened, she tells him how everyone thinks she made it up, and scrunches her face in confusion some when he claims to believe her. Tyler also helps Wednesday later on to not be seen by his dad in the woods, and she tells him what she saw when he presses her on it. She also lets him hold her there against the tree for a bit until his father passes through the woods and can no longer see them. And also when she unwinds herself from him, she doesn't do it forcibly. It's almost like a smooth dance move. She just goes, whew, like one motion. Just thought that was important. She doesn't use force in him like a lot of other people. But she remains focused and neutral during this interaction. But again, this shows she has trust in him to not say anything to Donovan. That is all. Next episode, Friend or Woe. Wednesday doesn't let Xavier dictate her coming to talk to Tyler, despite his claim that Tyler is bad news, and she's already previously called him an elitist snob for it, and now says, yeah, twice, but who I talk to is my business. Again, trust, and she sees Tyler as someone who can actually help her, now wondering about the old meeting house ruins. He notes her, quote, becoming obsessed with this whole monster in the woods thing, and she quips back with, would you rather I became obsessed with horses and boy bands? This to me is Wednesday establishing awareness of Tyler liking her eccentricities ultimately, or at least accepting them more than most would in Jericho. And I'd even argue it's a little bit of a flirting tactic from her, which I'll get into in episode 4, because we're done with that episode 2, but now we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty. Sorry, I have a scratch on my nose. I hope it's not distracting. Anyway, episode 4, Whoa, What a Night. Wednesday runs into Tyler again after attempting to bring evidence to his dad. Her eyes widen slightly when she sees him, but besides that, she keeps her composure. Theme appearance number 3 when she has to tell him she asked Xavier to the Raven. Sounds mild and like the music itself is bummed out just as Tyler is, like, oh no, Wednesday, why did you do this? He tells her when prompted, I thought we liked each other, but then you pull something like this and I have no idea where I stand, which originally I did think that line could be argued as presumptuous on his part, because that did make a lot of people go, dude, what signs did she give you, man? What was it? But again, go back to episode 3 where she talked about whether he wants her to be obsessed with horses and boy bands, and that's basically Wednesday's flirting tactic. She says, oh, would you still find me interesting if I wasn't into this whole murder mystery shit? So, can you blame the guy? Anywho, his words cause Wednesday to look down and swallow, aware she's hurt his feelings, and undoubtedly surprised that it affects her. As I discussed with someone else, I think this is the moment that clicks something in her brain, or at least the initial one. She says, I'm just dealing with a lot right now. Classic answer from someone knowing they've hurt another with their actions. But then she adds in a more Wednesday-esque phrase with, I need to prioritize, and with more definition to her tone, plus holding her chin up. Tyler takes her cold response and leaves, and Thing crawls up her shoulder like, you gonna just let him leave like that? But she whispers fiercely at him to keep quiet with not one word, and then he goes like, whoop, I'm gonna back up out of here. However, Thing, being best wingman that he is, refuses to let this one go. After the initial plan with Xavier falls through, he quickly writes a letter on her behalf and delivers it to Tyler in secret, one that Tyler remarks is sweeter than he would have expected from her, and he 5-finger discounts a gothically gorgeous black dress he pointed out to Wednesday in his store during the week. Notice that Tyler looks at the picture of their moms on the fencing team together as he waits for Wednesday. Also, when Wednesday snaps at Thing going, how could you do this to me? She goes into the closet and she's looking for something to wear. Again, like a teenage girl just got thrown off going, oh my god, I'm going to go on a date. I don't know what to wear. Yeah, and Wednesday doesn't care. Right, okay. Ha. At the Raven, when Xavier says, you don't know what he did to me, Wednesday glances at Tyler and is quiet for a moment before saying, enlighten me, almost like she was contemplating whether she wanted to actually know or not. She and Tyler discuss what he did to Xavier and his friends, which was assaulting him and destroying his mural on Outreach Day, and when Tyler more or less asks her to please not judge him for a past act he carries shame for, she surprises him by counteracting and saying, you think I was going to judge you over some teenage prank? I would have taken it further. Then he surprises her back by revealing he knows about the piranha incident, going, what, like putting piranhas in a swimming pool? which makes Wednesday turn her head slightly and knit her brows a bit at his knowledge of her, saying, "I might have done a little bit of digging on you after we first met." And she firmly commits to doing it again if the opportunity came up, and he says, "I knew there was a reason why I liked you." At the mention of him liking her again, she goes silent and averts her eyes, the first time she does so while he's still facing her, during the conversation where he can actually see it. Oh, here we go. And when Wednesday and Bianca have a small heart-to-heart about their feelings later in the episode, and Bianca calls her lucky for not caring what people think of her, Wednesday says, "I honestly wish I cared a little more." This could be a reference to multiple people, but considering that this happens after her conversation with Tyler and him talking about liking her, I like to think he's at least part of who she's talking about. Episode 5, You Reap What You Woe. Episode opens with Wednesday looking at the file from Tyler about her father, which ends up being at the center of the storyline for this one. That's about it. Aside from Gomez saying to Donovan, "He must be a good egg. She wouldn't tolerate anything less." Again, how does that not tell you something? Episode 6. Apparently Thing got even Tyler involved in planning a party for Wednesday's birthday despite her reservations. He tells Wednesday at the weather vane he delivered the cake, choosing dark chocolate ganache based on her, quote, preferred color palette, and even worked on writing happy birthday for her in coffee foam. Cute! Wednesday, despite her irritation, also can't help but look mildly impressed with the left corner of her mouth turned up, then glances down again away from him. He tries asking her to a birthday-free dinner. She looks as if she momentarily considers it, glancing down and up at him again, before returning to Crackstone's book / her mission. Theme appearance number 4 after she rejects his invite. Similarly slow and mild to episode 4, but slightly higher in pitch. The last one seemed to center Tyler's feelings on her rejection, but this time it's centered on Wednesday's feelings on having to reject, which we can safely say is probably at least in part due to the fact that she could blame either herself or Tyler for the fact that she went to the Raven instead of going to the woods with Eugene, and she bears some responsibility for him being attacked by the Hyde. Yeah. Suddenly, the theme is overtaken by, quote, delicate, unnerving music as she attempts to seek Tyler as an informant again, showing him a picture of the Gates Gate, LOL, from Goody's provided vision, but when he says he doesn't know, she drops the subject in frustration. Cue theme appearance number 5, louder, and now with violin, as Tyler asks if he did something because she's been ghosting him since the Raven. Subtitles dub it tender, emotional music over a shot of Wednesday, and yep, she's definitely meant to be the emotional focus here. She suddenly looks very confused, her eyes darting different directions before looking at him again, speechless and unsure. As Tyler concludes, "Guess I got my answer," and leaves, his father walks in and Wednesday follows after him. The subtitle, "Music Fades Away," popping up as she puts herself back in detective mode. I also want to make note that in this same episode, Thing goes out of his way to expose Xavier's lovely but also slightly creepy painting of Wednesday, and even Bianca thought Tyler was Wednesday's boyfriend. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, in this episode, Wednesday ends up on a bit of a destructive steamroll of people potentially caring about her after Weems revokes her off-campus privileges following the mayor's hit-and-run, starting with Marilyn Not Yet Laurel's attempt at outreach, then tricking Enid and Tyler into sneaking out to the Gates mansion under the guise of hangouts specific to them. Tyler thinks they were having a date. Enid thought it'd be a girls' night. Wednesday also previously tried to ditch Enid's friendship snood she got her as a present at the weather vane, hence Bianca and Tyler's conversation. Tyler speaks up on both his and Enid's behalf, saying she could have just told them what she really wanted to do without tricking them, but Wednesday ignores him, saying they can go if they want. I also want to make a point of the fact that Tyler actually questions, what's with the whole weird matching scarves thing? Showing he knows Wednesday well enough by this point to know that's a weird thing for her to be involved in. However, this does not stop Wednesday from running back to Tyler when she and Enid escape the house when the monster attacks. Even as Enid panically insists it's still inside, Wednesday focuses only on Tyler's injury when they find him. She's also the one to bandage him up at his house, and I swear I hear a single note of their theme mixed into the score during it, but I think that might just be me. Now we get to the real nitty-gritty. Episode 7, If You Don't Woe Me By Now, or as I've affectionately referred to it as, Past the Point of Woe Return. I'll get into that in a bit. The episodic Netflix title cards have little pictographs, and this one has a film projector on it, referencing Tyler's crypt date that he sets up for Wednesday. See you, Netflix. Uncle Fester is brought in this episode, and of note, he and Thing don't reunite until after he claims to feel tension between Wednesday and Xavier. You know Thing probably popped in pulling a vampire suck joke with the Team Jacob, bitch! He probably came in there with a Team Tyler, bitch! As well as the whole botch job and Kalamazoo situation. Wednesday assures Fester Tyler's, quote, not interested in him when Tyler catches them together at the weather vane, more or less casually dropping that he likes her, but it's not a big deal, then lets him bring her an on-the-house quad without protest. Again, like this is just a totally normal thing between them, and she doesn't mind that her uncle knows about it. Tyler jumps into, oh shit, I'm meeting her family mode when Wednesday introduces Fester, and there's a high chance that he also probably recognized that this is the same uncle who taught her kung fu from being a prisoner in a Tibetan monastery and was sent to prison for eating Girl Scouts. She cracks a smile when Fester pranks Tyler with a brief electric shock during their handshake. He sits next to Wednesday when he sees her with the Hyde drawings, and although she side-eyes his proximity to her cautiously, she doesn't protest, and we can see Fester glance between Tyler and the notebook, clearly wondering how close he and Wednesday actually are. She also reminds Tyler of Donovan's instructions not to be near her, clearly caring enough about him at this point to not want him getting into extra trouble. And he repays his sentiment in kind by not telling his dad about Fester when he appears looking for him, and she thanks him. Theme appearance number 6, suddenly interwoven into another background piece when Tyler suddenly asks about rescheduling their date. Wednesday inhales, pauses, and jumps into another excuse regarding the Hyde and Fester, but Tyler gently cuts her off, insisting lightly she owes him after the Gates Mansion incident. She looks down once, but keeps her cool, adding in she's not allowed off campus, and he says he'll host it at Crackstone's crypt so she doesn't have to worry. Are you sensing a theme here? Wednesday may not blink often, but she does look away at her most vulnerable moments. Most of the time she has this very intense eye contact with people. So anytime you can Jenna's eyes look down away from someone, you know Wednesday is having a vulnerable moment. Thing signs to Wednesday about having a date, and she insists that it's not. Just a quid pro quo, a business transaction, and he waves her off with wiggling, knowing fingers. Theme appearance number 7. Easy to miss as this one is far differently orchestrated with quirky, quick-tempo clarinet notes when Wednesday arrives at the crypt, swiftly reminding Tyler about the botched birthday held there. She outright says she's only doing this because she owes him, but when he reveals the admittedly incredible setup inside, she's stunned by it. When he asks her how she feels about scary movies, her mouth turns up slightly. Turns out to be Legally Blonde. Wednesday thanks Tyler when the movie's over, then looks away briefly as they fall silent. He says, quote, I'm just gonna come out, don't hate me, but I'm just gonna come out and say it. She looks him up and down, and he confesses, I want us to be more than friends. Theme appearance number 8. The same tender, emotional described version from episode 6, only this time with little acoustic guitar plucking in there. With the ding, 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 ding. It also references episode 4 when he wondered if they were more than friends. Now he's saying that he outright wants that. Hang on. Ow. Wednesday quickly shuts him down with, you'll snap out of it, but Tyler doesn't fall for it, asking her not to discount his feelings. She's surprised it doesn't affect him, and keep in mind, she's not one to mince words. She could just as easily say she doesn't like them, or that she doesn't like him like that if she doesn't. After all, in this exact same episode, she straight up told Xavier, quote, for some reason I cannot fathom or indulge, you seem to like me. That's basically a rejection. But she's not really doing that with Tyler. It's pushing away, not rejecting. Instead, she merely tells him, quote, I'm not friend material, let alone more than friend material. He raises his eyebrows, and she tells him, quote, I'll ignore you, stop in your heart, and always put my needs first. But again, he is unfazed. It's these kind of emotional walls that made Enid and Xavier get understandably fed up, but Tyler sees through, replying, You can keep pushing me away, it's not going to work. She tries reminding him he almost got killed thanks to her, but he turns it into banter instead by matching her energy with, I almost killed you, I survived, beginner's luck, I'm tougher than you think. Ooh, buzz. She glances down and up again, clearly unsure what to make of this new situation, and he moves closer. Wednesday tries one more tactic with, You're making a mistake. Tyler says, Probably, and she says, Definitely. Plus another up-down glance. He only smiles, though, leans in with Wednesday about to accept as the strings of their theme hold, then Donovan busts in because of course he does. Side note, I love how just so done he is at this point with Tyler and Wednesday. He can tell they like each other, so like true teenagers, they're just gonna keep finding ways to meet. He's like, you know what, I never saw you guys. Unbelievable, let's go guys. Enid returns to move into the dorm to Wednesday's surprise after Thing is nearly killed, and Wednesday tells her, after she rejects the separation tape, that she feels she is evolving. And when Enid explains she came back, quote, because we work. We shouldn't, but we do. With the way the camera zooms in on Wednesday during it, it could mean it's dawning on her that this could apply to her and Tyler too. Enid admits that Tyler gossiped to her about the date, and like a supportive friend, hints he's working the late shift. This is growth on Enid's part, as she originally said in episode 1, she says, Are you sure you can trust that normie? And in episode 4, she said, Interesting choice of date, though, about Tyler. So, hey. Wednesday ends up going, and even opens the convo to Tyler saying, You should lock your doors. There's some real sick people out there. She takes a deep breath as he moves closer to her, and says the soon-to-be false arresting of Xavier has made her, quote, reevaluate a few things, as she walks past him, looking around nondescriptly as she silently preps her next move. Tyler prompts her with, like what? And she turns around replying, like who I could trust. Tyler regards her curiously, asking, does this mean you're ready to be more than friends? Wednesday goes quiet, then takes a step forward, setting off theme appearance number 9, the same guitar version from The Crypt. Only here, which I freaking love, it moves with her. Every time up to this point, it has played of its own accord, but this time, it moves with Wednesday. First step, play. Second step, play. It just goes step, do, 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 step, do, do, do. Tilting her head up to meet Tyler's face. Do, 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 do. Tyler, meanwhile, lets her take her time doing this. I really appreciate it being made clear that this is all entirely Wednesday's choice. Keep in mind, Tyler didn't even expect her to come here. They made no plans after the crypt date to pick up where they left off. She came here by choice. To the point that the theme is submitting to her will. I'm sorry, I'm obsessed with this choice, and it frustrates me that people didn't note that. Just say, oh, the kiss came out of nowhere. No, it did not. Anywho. Whereas he made the first move to kiss her in the crypt, here the ball is in her court, and he waits for her to reach him. Excited but patient, the tension evident. Very point of no return, like... He even waits to let Wednesday be the one to kiss him first, putting a hand to cradle the back of her neck under her braids in response, but not kissing her back until she pulls away briefly, her eyes bright, and her smile encouraging. They kiss again, moving a bit more deeply, with Wednesday even breaking for air a moment before he brings her back in, the strings of their theme holding again during it. And before we move on, I want to mention how much I honestly mourn the fact that we never got a continuation after this kiss, because, oh my god, it really did all build up to that. It's like, oh, it's so good. There's a reason why people keep sharing about it on Twitter. It's just that damn good. So good people are accusing it of being AI. Wow. Haha. Then, of course, her damn vision happens, and she's all kinds of shocked and horrified, even with her narration quipping, of course the first boy I kissed would turn out to be a psychotic serial-killing monster. I guess I have a type. And I want you to point out, the vision only happens when Tyler kisses her, not when she kisses him. And honestly, I'll be perfectly honest, I'm actually kind of surprised that Burton didn't direct this episode, because this feels like his kind of scene. Just, oh, look, Wednesday has having your first kiss. Oh no, he's a monster. Hey, look, it's snowing. Does that not feel like his thing? Anyway, episode 8, Murder of Woes. Wednesday sets up a test for Tyler with the help of Thing, whom I imagine was bummed out to hear the news, and when he tries to move closer to her, she pointedly moves away, and stiffly says romance was the last thing on her mind at Nevermore until his kiss made everything make sense. She's very much in emotional shutdown to ignore the feelings he brought out of her mode. When she prepares to torture him to bring out the Hyde, there's definitely an element of personal vendetta to it, to punish him for tricking her, and that she's not taking any personal enjoyment out of it. When he confesses to her about being the Hyde at the station once Donovan finds them, her eyes go slightly wide to hear him speak so differently now, so violently, and you know there's a part of her that hates being right about this. Because compare that to her quiet triumph in episode 7, when she thought Xavier was the monster. She said, there's nothing quite like the feeling of being proven right. So, yeah. She didn't care about Xavier. She was like, oh, cool, Xavier's the monster? Yeah, I'm good at this. Go me. But Tyler being the monster, she's like, ah, oh, son of a bitch. So, if that doesn't tell you something. When he whispers to her, you have no idea what's coming, tears appear to spring to her eyes, and she inhales shakily. Even Tyler looks close to crying when he snaps out of Hyde mode and retreats. They're both hurt by this revelation, regardless of whether they want to admit it or not. Even as she's confronting Laurel, there's a disgust in her voice when she talks about what she did to Tyler, a look in Wednesday's eyes like she still feels for him, much different than her confrontation with him at the start. Note, when Laurel says, they're normies, like the normies, they're just pawns in a bigger game, just like you, Wednesday. Tyler asked in episode 4, are we more than friends, or am I just a pawn in some sick game you're playing to Wednesday? So, that's not really relevant. I just thought that was interesting how they both used the word pawn, so maybe that was a hint to him being the Hyde from the beginning, I don't know. Anyway, Wednesday returns to emotional shutdown mode again, though, when she faces Tyler again in the woods, and he comments on her being chained up now instead of him. And yet, she still manages to banter with him when she encounters him in the woods, and he calls her a cockroach, when he calls her a cockroach, and she says, please, flattery will get you nowhere. Then he roughly pulls her closer by her jacket labels. She then says, or warns, this will not end well for you. Despite the coldness of her voice, it's interesting she specified how Tyler's fate in this moment, possibly figuring Laurel's defeat wouldn't be good for him as a Hyde, but still, the fact is... I got the page wet, sorry. The fact it was just the two of them in this scene means something. She intended for no one else to hear this but him. It's also been noted why Tyler was heading in the direction of the crypt when Laurel had already said Wednesday was dead. Why was he going to go check then, huh, Tyler? Something else I want to point out, when he pulls her closer by her jacket labels, as the Hyde, he actually looks like he's considering making a move on her regardless of her feelings, as opposed to in episode 7, when he deliberately waited for Wednesday to reach him while he was strictly in Tyler brain mode. Also important to note. The last official, non-official interaction they have is when Wednesday is on her home in the Addams' hearse. She catches sight of the armored vehicle transporting Tyler in a straitjacket. And that is the end of Season 1. Season 2 will come separately. Sorta, kinda. Anyway. Now let's talk a little bit about the writing and concept of Wednesday and Tyler. This is how Weyler fits the Tim Burton couples mode, because if you watch an essay or two about Burton's body of work, it doesn't take long to see the frequented tropes and themes that continuously reappear inside his films, one of which being how he does his love stories. To put it simply, it's usually weirdo Tim Burton substitute man ex wide-eyed well-liked ingenue. Which, yes, is worthy of the criticism I've seen towards it. But what's interesting about Wednesday and Tyler, besides them being largely written and created by Alfred Gough and Miles Miller, is the fact that they both serve as another iteration of the Burton couple type and don't. They do in the sense that it's gender flipped, with Wednesday being the snarky goth kid Tim Burton insert, complete with parental strain, And Tyler is the wide-eyed, conventionally attractive, and formerly popular normie boy who's instantly intrigued by her and accepts her eccentricities without question. But they're also a bit of a needed change-up given how normie boy Tyler ends up being a monster himself. And while Wednesday may be the beauty to his beast in that regard, she's just as capable of violence and mayhem in her own right. Which is a big part of the reason why the pushback against these two as gothic dark romance doesn't make sense to me. Because unlike so much of the bullshit, fucking stupid ass slop that you can find on TikTok, for example, at least Wednesday and Tyler are far more in equal power positions, equally prone to committing crimes against both each other and the world around them. So yeah, this is my PSA. Stop comparing them to Haunting Adeline, for God's sake! I see one more fucking person gonna do that, I'm gonna freaking flip! Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. And the simultaneous fitting and defying of the Burton couples trope gets even more interesting when you throw Xavier into the mix. Yes, he fits the technical bad boyfriend type seen in, say, Jim from Edward Scissorhands, even though he and Wednesday never dated. They just have a history she cared about for literally only one scene. Given how whiny and aggressive he gets to the point, Tyler is automatically get better by comparison, in certain people's eyes, but obviously not everyone. But it's notable how Xavier is an outcast like Wednesday, even though he also dated the Queen Bee at one point, where he sports admittedly cool psychic creation powers that sadly don't go anywhere, while Tyler is, for the first 7 episodes at least, just a regular guy working as a barista. Which, in and of itself, is an admitted Burton trope where he presents a, quote, right answer and a wrong answer with his 2 guys, 1 girl love triangle, and with that mindset, it's pretty clear why Tyler and Xavier clearly fall into. And in true Beauty and the Beast fashion, I like to think that, aside from being angry Tyler lied, Wednesday was at least initially disappointed to find out Wednesday was initially disappointed to find out Tyler's true form was revealed after the spell was broken following true love's first kiss. Or in this case, true love's kiss's first psychic vision. Ugh. And now, in the wake of season 2, I had to ask another question. Are you telling me these two are Phantom of the Opera coded now? So yeah, my inner child was flipping out at the explicit use of the Poto theme in Wednesday's season 2 trailer back in June. And I was ecstatic to find out where it would lead. Basically, I was a cross between, Phantom! Oh my god! And also going, like, full Jack Skellington, just going, what does it mean? What does it mean? However, before we could get to that point, I went into my first viewing of season 1 convinced that choice could not have come from nowhere. Surely there had to have been Poto breadcrumbs from the beginning that only someone like me could truly see. And was I successful? Hey, I'd say so. First and foremost, I find that it makes the love triangle actually make more sense when viewed from a Poto lens. Firstly, Wednesday and Xavier officially meet when he saves her from the falling statue, which knocks her out anyway, and he's at her bedside when she awakens, revealing they'd previously met as kids and he's, quote, returning the favor after she saved him from not being burned alive. Again, this is the only time Wednesday gives any real shit about him and their dynamic, by the way. Not only does this tie into Raoul de Chagny and Christine Daae knowing each other as kids, but in the Gaston Leroux novel, Raoul is at Christine's bedside when she awakens after fainting on stage, and that's when he feels best reminder of how he once fetched her scarf from the sea. Xavier and Leroux Raoul also both have a tendency to constantly butt in on Wednesday's and Christine's affairs with Eric and Christine respectively, under the guise of being concerned, but really it's just jealousy, both of which the girls see through easily. And to be honest, Xavier actually sports quite the fitting Patrick Wilson Raoul hairdo when he wears it out, like he's not have it in a tiny ponytail, who himself got it from Prince Adam from Disney's Beauty and the Beast, so yeah. Now, before someone says it, obviously Wednesday Addams and Christine Daae are completely different characters on their own, but bring their interactions with Eric and Tyler into the mix, and their parallels are there. As one of my mutuals said in a discussion we had about it, quote, Tyler is the man and monster that tempts Slash fuels Wednesday's desires and curiosity towards the dark and grim secrets of Nevermore and Jericho. He's literally Eric luring her into his world. And then I said, quote, Tyler initially seems angelic on the surface. A perfectly sweet, normie boy who accepts her eccentricities and offers her the help she seeks, but only to be revealed as the fabled monster running around killing people in the meantime. As for Tyler himself, I'm going to save that for when I make my Phantoms of Wednesday Season 2 Let's Unpack analysis. But I will say, it's so funny to me now to watch Wednesday dance for Tyler at the Raven in Whoa, What a Night, which, by the way, is a Tim Burton directed episode, and compare it to how Christine takes control of Point of No Return in the 2004 Joel Schumacher Phantom movie. Tyler and Eric look on in surprised captivation as they follow the girl's lead. Both feature the duo center stage with other dancers surrounding them. The patrons and performers are also seen entranced by Eric and Christine's connections that no one can look away. And we see Principal Weems and Enid, for instance, looking on pleased and impressed at Wednesday's performance. And the only ones truly butthurt about it are Raul and Xavier, who convinced an unwilling Christine and Wednesday to even do these dances in the first place. Like both, it's like, oh, cry about it. It's like, not to mention the fact that the two dance sequences have opposing color palettes, where Don Juan Triumphant is all, reds, blacks, fire theme going, and then the Raven is blue, white, and has an ice theme going. I was like, oh, it's literally fire and ice. Oh my god. So, yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is, hang on. This is your PSA to go watch the Joel Schumacher Phantom of the Opera movie. Trust me, it's better than people will have you think. Okay? Anywho. If you need convincing, go watch my videos. It's a shameless self-promotion. Oh, and one more thing that I think is very important is that Wednesday and Tyler's impact was so important to Miller, Goff, and Burton. They literally redid them for Beetlejuice, which a lot of people noticed, by the way. Astrid and Jeremy are pretty publicly acknowledged to just be copy-paste Wednesday and Tyler. More Weyler light, more than anything else, sans the extra depth of their relationship. Sure, you could argue it was just for the twist, but given how Arthur Conti both looks and vaguely sounds like Hunter Doohan. Oh, God. Sorry, I need water. Dry mouth, sorry. He and Arthur Conti and Jenna Ortega also both performed a chemistry test for Burton. And safe to say, my mutuals and I have agreed that it must have bothered them at least a little bit. They're going, damn it. Like, I wish we could do Hunter Doohan for this role. No! It's also been since pointed out to me that Astrid has several backstory similarities to Tyler in that film, where she is a teen who is estranged from her single parent in the wake of the loss of the other parent, who is then taken advantage of by an older figure, as Jeremy would have technically been like 40 if he wasn't dead, and is tempted by their false understanding and then manipulated into just doing something dark and twisted. I was like, okay, whoa, mind blown. Whoa. So, thank you for that one. Oh, shoot. And something I forgot. Okay, I guess I'll save that for the next section. But why does this matter? Why do I think all this matters? Look, I don't care if you don't ship Weyler or if this convinces you to ship them or not, or see them differently or not. But if it does, congrats. But what I do care about is people invalidating their storyline because A, they so firmly believe that Wednesday doesn't need romance that that they deliberately missed all of Jenna's facial cues and music cues, which Hunter Doohan himself even said that Jenna can do so much with a look, and I believe that 100%. So much of where her feelings for Tyler are all based on her looks. Or B, you're so anti-Weyler because you prefer a certain other ship as much as you do that you're going to come off like a media literate bully as a result. That's what I care about. Okay? I mean, think about that. I mean, hell, the Goo Goo Muck song that plays during The Raven, I actually looked that up this week to find out kind of like what it means, the double meaning. And yes, it could be about fiction monster, but also it's been seen by fans as a song that could be about a horny teenager. Like it's a metaphor for the hormones that come for being a teenager and just going out for trouble. And I was like, oh yeah, that actually makes some of the lyrics make sense. Like the one like I'm a nighthead hunter looking for some head. It's like I was like, oh, yeah, all right, that makes sense. Which, hey, connects to point number 2 too, because that has a double meaning also. See you, Burton. I see you. Anywho, but yeah, because think about it, in season 1, Wednesday gets told by Principal Weems that the world isn't always black and white. There are shades of gray. And Tyler is, by Burton's own admission to Hunter, quote, welcomed into a long line of sensitive monsters, both of which end up being major contributors just going forward in season 2, both as individual characters and with their interactions with each other. Especially for why she spares him at the end of the season. So, I don't know, I really wanted to work on this because I started to feel strongly about this show, as well as the fact that I was hyped for season 2, and I wanted to share all this with you guys. So, I hope this was relatively well organized and easy to follow, and look, like I said, I don't need you to start shipping Wednesday and Tyler. I'm not necessarily trying to convince you, although it would be great if I did, but if you don't, that's fine. But just, I tried to look at this largely from a critical analysis, from a critical lens, to explain why they do in fact have a relationship, and Tyler is not just a one-off villain who's overstaying his welcome. He has meaning to the story, and more importantly, he has meaning to the character of Wednesday, just as all of her other relationships do. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you want to see more, hit subscribe on that channel, and I'll see you on the next one when I talk about the Phantoms of the Opera for Wednesday Season 2. Because I'm convinced there's not just one, there's multiple.